Namaskar, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professors and professionals, listeners and learners. I, Dr.RK from USA, heartily, cordially welcome all of you. It is really nice time, nice place, nice section. Nice to see all of you. Nice to talk to you. Today is very important day. Actually, every day is important for those persons, those who want to do something better, nicer, finer, but especially for those who devote and dedicate themselves for the welfare of society, nation and family. Dear friends, actually we recall, remember, rethink about our past, how our past becomes the cause of pleasure in present. It is really a great message of our Holy Motherland. We celebrate every day like a festival, function, because nature nurtures us, nature treats us, nature teaches us. Nature plays a great role in our life. It plays the role of multi-dimensionality, multi-levelity, multi-sidedness. It makes us finer, better, nicer. If we start our routine by doing yoga, pranayama, meditation, asanas, then it becomes not only the part of our body bending, but it becomes the part of our life, part of our actions. In all our holy religions of this holy land, our great men, freedom fighters, free thinkers, those who were born in India, they addressed us to spend your time with nature. How our youngsters can become inventive and innovative if they will not spend their time with nature, if they will not respect, welcome and thank our freedom fighters and free thinkers. But it needs a great devotion and dedication towards the sacrificial bodies and martyrdom, for spending our life peaceful, peace of mind and tranquility of our heart. Are all anxieties, worries, problems, sorrows can be removed. It can be forgotten just by getting up early in the morning, by doing meditation. Meditation is the supreme medicine. It's the medicine. What kind of medicine? That is being provided free of cost by environment, by atmosphere, by nature. So it is the responsibility of everyone who is the normal resident of our country, whether he is residing in India and abroad, in any state, he should be responsible for nature. Then how we can be healthy? How anyone can imagine for the welfare of others? It is the great responsibility. Today, at this time, it is very necessary in the changing environment, atmospheric conditions. Our newly appointed CZI of India advocated, appealed, addressed all worldly people of our society, because nature is not the issue of any personal interest, but it is the common, general and issue of our public welfare. So we must be prepared for the welfare of our humanity, welfare of our society, nation, by protecting our nature. It's everyone's responsibility. If we know this thing that nature is ours, nature never discriminate with us at any basis. Nature never deceive, cheat, beat, defeat us. So let us be friendly and familiar with nature. Only in that case we can imagine Swachh Bharat, Sundar Bharat, healthy India, wealthy India, wise India. Our youngsters, those who are trying well for making themselves healthier, it has become a great challenge for them because of disturbances, interferences in nature. So until and unless our common man of village, general man of city will not be aware about such atmospheric problems, how we can imagine the purity in the air, fire, soil, sky and water. It is the base of all holy religions of this holy land, and our great men, founders, starters, beginners, initiators, creators, generators, operators, those who came first in India, they selected this holy land as a pure land, as an multi-dimensional, multi-sided society of the world. It is an Indian society. Whenever any mishappening occurs anywhere in the world, then our nation comes first, not in facing them, but healing them and helping them. So it is a great message from this holy land of India. Dear friends, be blessed, be active and be alert for this environment, atmosphere, for protecting our birds, plants, trees, even nature. If nature is pollution free, then we can be free from anxieties, from anger, avariceness, false intuition, ego, lust, negativities. So how we can break this cycle without efforting well? As we daily in our routine visit different religious and spiritual places, and we devote our duty in worshipping, in doing actions, regular actions, likely that it is the most important for us to be careful about this nature. After planting more and more trees, we are to protect this nature. We are not to cut the trees unnecessarily. We are to plant more and more trees. We are not to pollute the environment. If we are polluting the environment in any way, then it is the loss of humanity, our human values. So it is very necessary to be pure, think good, good mind, good find. If we will think good, then definitely God blesses us, God graces us with its uncounted blessings. Numberless gifts of God can provide us in exchange of such things. So let us go through how is our society. Just notices. No action. Supreme Court wraps Punjab, Haryana on farm fires. Says both reluctant to prosecute farmers despite flagrant breaches. It is not the humanitarian way. If we pollute the nature, if we will create the imbalance in nature, who will face it? Any country, all over the world. Those who are involving themselves in peacelessness, in occupying materialistic goods, they are fighting just for the materialism. How they can be happy? For what purpose they are doing so? Just because of their personal interest. So it is not the message of our holy religions, of this holy land. Whether we talk any nation, any developed or developing nation, then it is the great need today to do yoga, meditation and pranayama. Individually and personally it can help us in keeping us in peace of mind and tranquility of our heart. How trees, plants, animals serve the country, serve the nation, serve our society, serve our life. We have to take the lesson. We have to become an example by devoting ourselves, dedicating ourselves for the welfare of society. It is the great humanitarian task that we can do for the welfare of the poor, the needy, downtrodden, rejected people of our society. Dear friends, let us understand the value of our cultures. Our cultural values, spiritual values are really a great treasure for the futuristic generation to make them grow in the higher directions of their profession. Undoubtedly, I can say the thought of our youngster is higher than the sky, deeper than ocean, extensive than this earth. So all the five elements of the human body that time and again tell us how we should spend our time with nature, how we are to be common, how we are to keep ourselves in present. And this is the present time that can be the most valuable time, useful time for going ahead. No religion encourages pollution. Supreme Court says, moves your round cracker ban in Delhi. New Delhi, November 11, noting that no religion encouraged activities that caused pollution. The Supreme Court today directed the Delhi government to decide within a fortnight on extending the firecracker ban throughout the year. Prima facie, we are of the view that no religion encourages an activity that crackers are burnt in this fashion. It also affects the fundamental right to health of citizens. A bench led by Justice Dr.RK said, the bench asked the Delhi government to take a call in consultation with all stakeholders. By November 25, on banning firecrackers in the national capital throughout the years. It also asked neighboring state governments to respond to the issue of banning the manufacture, sale, storage, and bursting of firecrackers in their areas. The bench pulled up the Delhi police for failing to comprehensively implement the firecrackers ban in the national capital, and Delhi police commissioner to stop pollution environmentally and atmospherically. How our nation, how our environment can be free from such disturbances in the nature. It is really a great need to pay attention. Form a special cell to ensure effective implementation of the ban and file a personal affidavit putting on record the steps taken to enforce it. We find that There is nothing filed in the affidavit that an order imposing the ban was communicated to those who have been permitted to manufacture, store and sell firecrackers. The first thing the Delhi police ought to have done was to inform the license holders and others too, forthwith stop the sale of firecrackers, sell the batch. Just notices, no action. Supreme Court traps Punjab, Haryana farm fires. The Supreme Court on Monday once again questioned the government in Punjab and Haryana over their reluctance to act against farmers indulging in stubble burning, which adversely affected the air quality in Delhi and NCR. Even today we find reluctance on the part of governments in taking action under the Section 14 of the Commission for Air Quality Management in National Capital Region and Adjoining Areas Act 2021. We have observed in earlier orders that instead of direct prosecution, states are still busy just issuing show cause notices despite flagrant breaches. States owe explanation to us on non-prosecution, a bench led by Justice Abe S. Okaset. How can this happen? How come this increased during Diwali? Why are you sparing your officers? They are sparing the farmers. Farmers are filing application before us because they fear things. And now you all earlier the state had proposed to demarcate just 100 meters around the sanctuary as an ESZ. But the Union Environment Ministry had rejected the proposal after the Chandigarh administration raised an objection citing inadequate progress. The UT Forest and Wildlife Department, which has declared an area within 2 km to 2.75 km from the sanctuary as an ESZ. South Sindh Jones from Haryana and Punjab, while Haryana has already notified an ESZ ranging between 1 km and 2.035 km on its side in Panchkula district. Punjab is yet to do so. Punjab has now decided to increase the democratized demarcated area and seek an approval from the center. Officials said 90% of the sanctuary area fell in Haryana and Punjab. In June 2022, the Supreme Court had ruled that each national park must have an ESZ of a minimum of 1 km measured from its demarcated boundary. The Sukna Wildlife Sanctuary is home to 7 scheduled animal species under the Wildlife Act. These include leopard, Indian pangolin, sambar, golden jackal, cobra, python and monitor lizard. 70% Haryana in BPL category. Curfew in Manipur district and CRPF. This news is being addressed from local newspaper, English newspaper. Government approved 6,000 posts of teachers, focusing on improving infrastructure from Himachal Pradesh. Chief Minister Sukhwinder Singh Sukhu today said that the state government had approved the recruitment of 6,000 teachers and 3,000 posts of these had already been filled. Instead of opening new schools, the government was focusing on improving infrastructure and providing staff at existing educational institutions to ensure quality education. We ask. When going not tough, CZI Chandachuk lettered. CZI Chandachuk altered track record. He was a far better CZI than most we have seen, but the Olympian heights will elude him. The constitutional scheme, the executive and the judiciary are not buddies. They are meant to be at odds with each other. A legacy is determined by what we leave behind, what we are, what we were when we arrived, what we did well, where we failed, and where we stand on the ultimate measuring scale by which judges are weighted. It's on the day of retirement that judges are just having spent many years of their life judging us. Where do the chips fall for Dinaraja Yeshwant Chandrachud, the 15th Chief Justice of India, CJI? He came in on a high crest of expectation, gives his intellectual caliber near stellar record of judgments and carrying the legacy of family. Preceding him and was a lineup of mostly disappointed CGIs. This gave him the benefit of comparison but also added to the expectations. It was as if he had to rectify a decade of slippage. He delivered across a range of issues concerning individual and human rights. He recognized the rights to live free from the effects of climate change as a fundamental right. He also delivered judgments on the rights of persons with disabilities, reproductive rights, and the right to abortion, as well as striking down provisions of prison manuals of several states which assigned jobs to prisoners on the basis of caste. He overruled the broadcast ban on Media One and rejected a vague notion of national security concerns as a ground to violate freedom of speech and freedom of the press. He limited the state's power to take over private property and on his last day as a judge of the court denounced bulldozer justice and awarded a compensation of rupees 25 lakhs to a victim of state high-handedness. The liberal and progressive side of Chandrachud came through shiningly. The technological reform side was also on display as he pushed through paperless courts, digitization and administrative efficiencies. The Indian court system is not just about judging, it's also about managing the huge bureaucracy. It's a system used to the old ways and reform does not come easily. But a sessions, but a seasoned judge like Chandrachud knew where the levers and drivers for change were. So far, so good. It's when things got tougher that he started to falter judicial appointment to the Supreme Court and high ground between the government and the judiciary. The National Judicial Appointments Commission Act 2005-15 was struck down, but in its wake came a to and fro participatory process between the executive and the judiciary. Willful delay can stymie matters as also ill-founded rejections. Here only a strong Chief Justice can get the desired results, and this means strength coupled with the ability to stare down the government. It's the notable names that matter, as Murlidhar, Saurabh Kirpal, John Satyan, and on his count, the report card of the ex-CJI does not read well. Also in case concerning the government as contrasted to those concerning individuals, the record is bleak. The decision to uphold the abrogation of Article 370, while leaving the question of the revocation of J&K's statehood effectively unanswered, is a glaring example. So, too are decisions where he refused to recognize the right to marry for same-sex couples. His decision to send the Gyanvapi Mosque case back to the trial court paved the way for allowing an archaeological survey of the mosque, even as he made damning all remarks in the hearing, stating that the Places of Worship Act did not prohibit suits seeking to ascertain the religious character of sites. A decision that seemed to go against the spirit of impatient pages in the Ayodhya verdict, heralding the importance of the act and its necessity to prevent disputes over religious structure. He also effectively suspended the operation of the Ritu Chabria judgment, which had held that an individual's right to default bail could not be defeated by the investigation agency filing an incomplete charge sheet without completing the investigation. Curiously, Justice Chandrachud passed an order that no court should rely on the said judgment in the decision in deciding default bail applications. In response to a memo made by the Solicitor General with respect to another case filed by the Enforcement Directorate, this despite being a vocal champion of personal liberty. Two electoral bonds were struck down, but the follow-up of disgorging monies from beneficial political parties didn't happen. It was virtually all quiet on the judicial review front, and government did not lose much sleep. So much so that the then CCI made a statement that judges couldn't be expected to be like opposition parties. True that, but constitutional dynamics requires the court to be a character, a drawer of lines, the remainder of norms and the affirmers of higher values. In the constitutional scheme, the executive and the judiciary are not buddies, they are meant to be at odds with each other, and it's the business of the court to hold the fault. That sense of constitutional tension was palpably missing on display. Was another feature of CCI Chandrachud visiting prominent temples dressed in ochre, giving national overtones to the temple flag, Dhwaja. This was followed by a well-publicized photograph of the CCI and the PM performing Ganesh Puja at the former's residence. It was bound to create controversy and did raise plenty, and one wonders why this never before prayerful closeness was demonstrated and why so publicly broadcast. Images are powerful messages. They convey the essence straight and direct in way that words cannot. Judges live and act by precedents. By precedents, surely some thought should have been given that if this became a national practice following the CCI example, it would create fuzzy lines in the separation of powers and in adding independence of judiciary doctrine. A judge is a composite creature. You cannot be one type in court and another outside. And the less said, the better about bringing the Almighty in the justice dispensation scheme by seeking solution from a deity. Overall, the picture is one of who was eminently capable, who performed well on some important parameters but fell short on others. A far better Chief Justice than most we have seen, but the Olympian height will elude him. Those belong to the likes of CCI's M.N. Venkateshalayan and S.M. Sikri, whose cerebral judicial accomplishments were paired with the steel spine of leadership. These heights were within Chandrachud's grasp, though but his reach seemed to just that much limited and that just that much deflected. Poet Robert Browning said, "A man reach should exceed his grasp, or what's a heaven for?" This judge could have had the dream right into the sunset. That it eluded him is a pity for him and us. Thank you, dear friends. Thank you. Dhanyavad.